Tim, I think we all can agree with you what you finished with there. We're all hoping for some substantive change. Um, I want to ask you, what is it about the NBA? NBA of all the major sports seems to kind of be the leader when social justice or social issues come up. Is it something that comes from the league office and Commissioner Silver? Is it the makeup of the players on the teams? What is it about the NBA where they always seem to be leading as opposed to the NFL, which is always kind of reacting to things like this?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think specific to our team, we have a really supportive ownership group that never is trying to silence voices. I mean, our guys are basketball players, but they're members of the community, and they should be able to loudly voice how they feel politically, how they feel about what's going on in their community. They should be good societal teammates. I think the NBA at the league level does a great job of not just allowing but promoting voices. And look, I hate to say it, Chad, you played, and even though you played for the Steelers, the big Ravens guy, that hurts talking to you right now. It's the nature of, I think, guaranteed contracts allow NBA players to speak with a lot more confidence and authority. This will not impact my paycheck. And I don't think the same can be said for the NFL.
Tim Connelly, the president of basketball operations for the Denver Nuggets. I love what you said in your first response, where you said not being racist isn't good enough. We need to be anti-racist, and I love that. That resonated with me, and what an interesting point about how the NBA contract structure is actually maybe indirectly empowering to the players, where it's not a fear of looking over your shoulder like some of the NFL players have, and it's well documented there. All right, well, we appreciate your comments on that subject. We move on to what's next for the NBA, and the proposal has been passed by the owners. I think the players, I don't know if it has happened today or is about to happen, but kind of a formality there. The league is coming back. Let me just ask you this. Are you surprised that we got here? Because it seemed like even 3-4 weeks ago, Tim, there was real speculation whether a season would happen at all.
Yeah, I think about a month ago, we're always trying to stay in contact with our guys, Zoom calls, workouts, having guest speakers. I thought about a month ago, we sensed an overall morose and a real sense of a lot of guys kind of let go of the rope. Hey, this is great, but we're not going to play. I mean, look where we are right now in our country with the pandemic. So I think when we saw international leagues start to regain some semblance of normalcy, I think maybe 2-3 weeks ago, our guys switch and say, no, I think we are going to play. And if we're going to play, we have a real chance to make a run. And we're going to make a run. This time is going to be very important, how connected we stay, how good a shape we stay in during this weird time. So I agree, Zach. I think about a month ago, if you'd have, over a couple beers, I'd have said, I don't think we're going to play. And here we are today, excited, curious as to what it's going to look like. It's certainly going to be something very atypical to what we've all become accustomed to. But I think now we're completely focused on how we can ensure that we're as ready as any team when we get down there and hopefully make some real noise.
Now, there were a number of formats being discussed about this return to play. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys were preferential about going right into the playoffs. Why was that the scenario that appealed to you guys the most?
And we were supportive of whatever the NBA decided upon, but I think most teams just voted with what was best for that team. And when you worked hard to get the 3 seed and you're in a good spot, I think that was the preference of most teams who were already in the playoffs, soundly in the playoffs. But we were always going to be a team that we understood there was going to be no right answer. It's not the time to be a bad teammate. And Adam Silver has done a fantastic job being transparent and being open. And we knew that whatever decision he was going to make was not going to be popular across the league, but certainly with us, we're ready whatever it is, as long as it gets us back on the court.
Tim Connelly, the team president of basketball ops for the Denver Nuggets, joining us here on Stokely and Zach. Chad Brown filling in for Stoke today. There's still so many questions here, Tim. The question of the COVID issue and, the quote-unquote bubble and, guys being able to come and go and play golf and go out to a restaurant to grab dinner. All that stuff is still kind of on the table. And, although the pandemic is kind of on the second page of the paper, it's still very much an issue. the potential for this thing grabbing a hold of a team, not just a player, but a team, is still very real. Have you entertained the prospect of what you could be facing if, hey, you took the test and both Jamal Murray and Will Barton have it, or Jokic and Gary Harris has it? What then for a 2-week period? We've never navigated anything like this. Have you let your brain go there yet?
That's when we call you and Tyler. I saw you guys play one-on-one. I saw that. There's a wild card. Tyler can set picks. You can work on your mid-range game.
There you go.
Yeah, we've thought about it all. What's been crazy, guys, is you guys have worked in professional sports. Chad, you play at the highest level. You're so used to controlling everything, especially as front office guys, as coaches. You want to have answers to your players. And we've had no answers throughout this whole thing. So it's led to some really fun, speculative conversations, but they've been largely fruitless because we don't know what we're going to look like. But, yeah, I think we're very much still in the throes of a global pandemic. I think our mind's off it a little bit because of some of the social unrest we're seeing presently. But the reason that we stopped the season was because of this. So I think we're all prepared for that to potentially happen. There's no easy – look, if Nikola cannot play for whatever injury or sickness, there's no easy pivot there for us. But I do think the greater the depth, the more aware you are of that potentially becoming something that could happen, the better. But everything's uncharted. I mean, I don't play golf. So me, if I want to go down there from July 12th to the final game, hopefully, and I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. I'm a pretty boring guy, and golf is definitely something that I played twice in my life, and I was awful. So even how to keep yourself engaged and active and busy is going to be interesting and part of the challenging thing with this new reality we're going to face this summer.
Is there? I'll paint a awful worst case scenario here, Tim. 6 or 7 guys come down with it. We know this thing's obviously highly contagious, and each person seems to be infecting 2 or 3 people. So you get 2 guys, then you got 6 guys, or 8 guys, or something like that. Is the league going to allow for? How do you get additions to your roster if that were to happen? I guess be one question. And then number 2, thinking about the coaching staff. I mean, is there a possibility that we could see a team being coached via iPad on the court side? Is what kind of – we're obviously hypothetical, throwing things out here, but there has to be if this happens, then what do we do? And your job as the front office is kind of come up with those plans. Has any of this stuff been discussed, or is it still just we don't know what the league's going to do?
It's been discussed ad nauseum, but without any real input from the league. We have a call actually this afternoon, a bunch of team presidents and GMs. I think we're going to talk about some of the nitty-gritties of competition. I think some of those topics will be discussed. Will you have expanded rosters? Knowing that there is, if you look at the resumption of other leagues, there have been positive cases. Thankfully, a lot of those guys have been in training, but how to react to positive cases if you're in the midst of a playoff run. I think we're all going to with our eyes open. We shouldn't be surprised. I think the infection rate's much greater than any of us would have guessed. Testing was an issue initially. I think as we test more, we're going to find out more people have it or had it with the antibody test. But yeah, we talk about it all the time, Chad, and we don't have any answers. Yesterday was great to finally say, as you can imagine, we've bandied about, I heard it's going to start on this date. I heard you're going to get here. It's going to be in Vegas. It's going to be this or that. There's going to be pool play. There's going to be 1 through 16. It was great to finally hear some clarity from Adam and the ownership group, and hopefully that clarity continues on some of those issues that are specific to roster size and if someone gets sick. I don't envy the NBA at all. Logistically, what a challenging event to pull off.
Tim Connelly joining us here, president of basketball ops for the Nuggets. I got to ask you about Jokic before we let you go. You just mentioned him in passing. Jokic showed up to the NBA season a little bit heavy and lost weight throughout the season. Had actually talked about it. He said he lost 20 to 25 pounds during the season. And from what I'm understanding, this trend continued through quarantine. I know a lot of people put on the quarantine 15, but did I hear right that Jokic may have abs? Is this true?
Jokic is ready for. Nikola is ready for any pool party in the world right now. He looks fantastic, and I don't know. Felipe would know better. Our head of strength and conditioning, who's he and Nikola are thick as thieves. I'm not sure if he lost weight. I think he's gotten stronger. Like I think he's, there's some muscles that I've never seen. But I don't want to speak out of school, but I'm pretty sure his weight hasn't fluctuated. But I know he's gotten a lot stronger, and he's a real testament to him and our staff that it'd be pretty easy to do nothing, especially the first 4, 5, 6 weeks where you're stuck in a condo and you have a Peloton and some TRX bands. But he's taken it very seriously, and we're really proud of what he looks like, and it's encouraging to think what he might be able to do when we get back out there.
And very last one on the way out here, Tim. When we do get back and these games are being played in Orlando, from what I understand, it's going to be 3 different courts and the time sort of spread out. But are these games, these NBA games, going to be played like during the daytime, where there's just like a bunch of games being played, almost like a summer league schedule?
Yeah, again, I think so. We don't have any more details than what you guys have read and what we've read. But logistically, I'd have to imagine that we'd have to have a lot of gyms going at once or nearly at once. I'm curious. I'd go to every game I could. Can I go to games? Can I go be a fan after we play? So I don't know how to answer any of those things. I think it'll be unbelievably neat to watch on TV because you're gonna hear and see things probably you've never seen in packed arenas because you can't hear, and then B, your attention's drawn all over the place when you have 18,000, 19,000 people in the arena. So I think it's going to be fascinating as a basketball geek. I'm super excited as a guy lucky enough to work for a team that I think we have a legitimate chance to go down there and bring a championship back to Denver. Beyond excited, but so much unknown, and I think we'll really only be able to answer those things when we get down there.
Well, I can't wait until you guys do get down there. I'm going to be absolutely glued to every single game. I'm fascinated by this new process and this sort of one of one. It's such a unique situation. Tim, we really appreciate you taking your time here. We've been waiting to talk to you and glad we got to connect with you. And
you guys have 10 seconds for a quick CU story?
Please.
I took my wife and I took my 4 and 5-year-old to see you yesterday. We parked at Folsom, and we're just walking around, walking to get ice cream in Pearl Street. And my kids are really concerned about how they treat the buffalo. And they can't grasp. They've been asking about the buffalo nonstop since yesterday. So, Dad, where's the buffalo now? Are they nice to him? How does he run out the field? So, Chad, if you can enlighten our kids at any point about how that buffalo is treated, it'd be well received in my household.
All right. All the Ralphies are treated very well. They live on a ranch about 25 minutes away from campus. The Ralphie Handlers is a very elite group. The people that run out with Ralphie during the games, that's also a group that takes care of Ralphie and all that Ralphie's needs at the ranch. It's a very difficult group to get into. It's a very prestigious group on campus. And
I just need a tour. That's all I need. At some point, either you or Coach Boyle can get me a tour. My daughter is wearing me out about buffaloes.
Well, I am in the Hall of Fame up there, but they pay Coach Boyle a check with lots of zeros behind it, so he's probably got a better chance of getting that than I do.
Well, thanks a ton, guys. I appreciate it. Hang in there and stay safe.
All right. Looking forward to kicking off. Thank you for coming by here, Tim.
Thanks, Tim. Really appreciate it.